If the new Walking Dead Season 8 sneak peek gives you deja vu, don't worry, it was supposed to. The preview shows Carl pulling up in the Alexandria van, getting a gas can container, and walking down to a gas station, where he'll hear a man presumably talking to himself, or maybe a dead body. Who knows if the guy's okay, or if he's a little unhinged. Anyway, Carl jumps up with his gun up, and it ends with the promo card, seemingly a teaser that doesn't really tell you much. However, this teaser is a lot cooler than it looks at first glance. This is the start of Season 8, Episode 100, and it begins perfectly mirroring the start of Episode 1. If you watch Episode 100's intro with Episode 1's side by side, Rick's cop car and Carl in the van travel at pretty much the exact same speed. You got similar camera angles and similar debris and destruction, with obvious realistic differences. They're not always going to be the same make and model. You're going to have a lot more dirt and destruction and overgrowth for Carl because more time has passed. I mean, this must have been a pain to set up and film, but it's definitely a pleasant surprise for the hardcore fan base that loves looking for those Easter eggs. And it doesn't end there. After Rick gets his gas can and walks towards the gas station, he walks under and between the posts of the gas price sign. He ends up grabbing his ribs in pain, which is where he was shot, which put him in the coma in the first place. Now, in Episode 100, when Carl passes between very similar posts of probably a very similar gas station price sign, he hears something which makes him reach for his gun, putting his hand by his ribs, which mirrors Rick from Episode 1. Now, both pass by similar cars in very similar positions, and the camera goes to a point of view shot, seeing debris where people were surviving for both Rick in Episode 1 and Carl in Episode 100. Now we get more shots with very similar camera angles of Rick and Carl and the cars, and there's not enough time to hunt down every single lingering Easter egg, but I'm definitely positive I had to have missed a few. So if you guys found some, please share those down in the comment box. By the time Episode 100 is released and we do an in-depth review, that information might actually be very useful. So if you find something, put it down in that comment box. Now, both of them lean into a car looking at a dead body. Rick, back in Episode 1, he's staring at a body that's recently been dead. It's rotting, it's got pus on it, it's got flesh. You can still see the person even though they're starting to rot and there's flies all around. But with Carl, that body has long been dead and decayed, and it is almost just a skeleton at this point. Now, back in Episode 1, Rick will see a sign that says no gas. He gets a little bit frustrated, and he stops for a moment to think, and he hears shuffling, so he turns around, and that's when he decides to peek under a car to get a better look. And in Episode 100, Carl hears a guy's voice, and he decides to peek under a car to get a better look. They both take their hats off, place them on the ground, and then, perfectly mirroring each other, Rick and Carl look under the car to see the person they hear. Rick sees feet we know belong to the teddy bear girl Walker, and Carl sees feet, presumably belonging to the guy who's talking to himself. And I think this is where we can speculate the scenes deviate. Now, we know Rick encounters and kills the dead. He shoots the teddy bear girl Walker in the head, and this kicks off Episode 1. This is the very first moment we're introduced to Rick. It's the very first Walker kill on screen. It's not in chronological order. It's a flash forward after he woke up, after he met Morgan. This is our introduction into the series in Episode 1. Now with Carl, this is our introduction into Episode 100, mirroring Episode 1 in fantastic form in my opinion, but Carl will get up, put his gun on a living person, not a dead like his father, and most likely Carl will not kill this person. Hence, in Episode 1, Rick came upon the dead and killed it. In Episode 100, mirroring almost perfectly all of Rick's movements, Carl will come up on a living and not kill him. Now, we can speculate a little bit that this living person Carl runs across is this new character right here, and it's a very popular fan theory right now that this character is a comic book character that we don't find out about until later on, named Siddiq. Now, his introduction into the story is more like fleshing out the character earlier, like we saw Oceanside in the story earlier than we did in the world of The Walking Dead in the comic book. At this time, there's nothing to lead us to believe that this character's early introduction is going to change the story dramatically, but it might have a solid connection with Oceanside. We've discussed this in previous videos. I think there's a good possibility he could have that connection, and that is why we are seeing him earlier, or he can have a different connection that's kind of similar, helping the Allies defeat Negan and the Saviors during the war. But then we have to wonder why he's by himself. I had a little theory about his connection to the Oceanside. I did that video, but we're going to end it here because this was a mini explained video discussing the parallels between Rick from Season 1, Episode 1, and Carl from Season 8, Episode 1. Episode 100 of the entire series. I love it. I think this is fantastic. And if this is just a taste at what's to come, then we are going to have plenty to go through. The hardcore fans that like to pour through the replays of the episodes and find those Easter eggs that we missed after the 5th or 6th time watching the episode. This is going to be a real treat for us. I am hoping that the rest of the season obviously is great in itself, and the closer we get to the premiere, the more and more excited I am. I absolutely cannot wait for the start of All Out War. Now, again, if you picked anything else out that we missed, go ahead and leave those thoughts and opinions in the comment box. If you have any different theories about why they might be paralleling the beginning of the season, whether they are wild fan theories or possible connections to future storylines or anything at all, you leave those thoughts, theories, and opinions down in that comment box. And yes, probably tomorrow we will discuss the Fear the Walking Dead crossing over. Oh, I puked in my mouth a little bit. Sorry, but yeah, tomorrow we will discuss Fear the Walking Dead crossing over to The Walking Dead. Leave your thoughts, theories, and opinions in that comment box down below. I love you guys. It's a cruel, sick world out there, so be safe.